Okay, Streamlabs says we're live, but I can never tell because Streamlabs is dumb.
All right. Let's do this.
There we go. Alright, yes, we're live. YouTube
You
has
start the time?
confirmed. YouTube has confirmed we are live because it takes a while for YouTube to catch up to Streamlabs. Let me pop out chat so we can talk to the peoples.
All two of them. Maybe it's that rare occasion we get a third person.
We do on occasion get a third person. They just lurk though.
You misspelled Renegade cut. You don't spell Renegade with an I.
One moment. No, this is not made for kids, YouTube. Anyway, alright. So, hello everyone and welcome to Filthy Casuals, the stream where another friend and I basically talk about politics, but not talk about politics.
We cover all things pop culture related
Basically, yeah.
and try our damnedest to avoid politics, but wind up talking about it anyway.
Yeah, that's the general rule. General rule of thumb. I do apologize. I didn't go live yesterday. There was stuff to talk about. Don't get me wrong. I also apologize for not keeping y'all informed about my situation. And I'm A, new to the game, to this game of YouTube, but B, I do like to keep my private life private. That being said, the um huh. Okay, YouTube just said something about audio whatever. Anyway, yeah, the writing did not affect myself or the people I live with in any way. We are all okay, we're safe. That being said, there was plenty to talk about, but I came home from work yesterday just straight exhausted. I basically went straight to bed after work. So, yeah, I do apologize for missing Academic Alehouse yesterday. There will be no Academic Alehouse next week. Mostly because I will be in Galveston with with my family and a couple of friends.
And I wasn't invited.
Correct. It's a family trip. They're
You said a
family
couple of
friends,
times.
not
Oh.
they're family friends, not like friends.
Okay, I see.
Anyway, there will be no Academic Alehouse or Filthy Casuals next week. I will be in Galveston. We will be back the week after. So look forward to that. Hopefully things will have calmed down by then, and I could sort of do like a retrospective episode on this whole thing. That being said, shall we talk about tonight's subject?
Yes. Yes. Good old Renegade cuts.
Yeah.
To those of you who don't know who he is, our Renegade Cuts or Renegade Cut, or I believe his real name was Leon Thomas, but as a Channel Awesome alumni, he does and still does a lot of video essays with a lot of very left leaning overtones. In fact, he's one of the guys who first introduced me to the concept of SJWs. He whined about how in the first Avengers movie, the Avengers were all white. I never saw a problem with it, and yeah, that's I guess what led me down this dark weary road. And yeah.
Well, given Channel Awesome's propensity for producing, non far left YouTubers.
Well, I think as far as I know, the only ones that walked away without getting totally fucked up are Micah Curtis and Iron Liz. Iron Liz is actually really cool. We should have her on sometime when we get bigger.
Maybe you should do it now. Help out a small channel. I heard she does she still do like reviews of tabletop RPGs?
That I don't know,
Hmm.
but yeah, we could probably do that. I have an idea for a video we could watch together. It involves a different channel, Awesome Alumni. Did you ever
Oh
watch Rantasmo?
no.
He does a lot of he did or when he was on Channel Awesome, he did a lot of LGBT themed videos. And the video I was thinking of was the one where it talks about how movies portray trans people.
Hmm.
That might make for an interesting conversation.
Yeah, it might indeed. But anyway, so we have a Channel Awesome alumni, and if you don't know the story of Channel Awesome, there's an entire playlist on Mr. Mediker's channel
Oh
about
boy,
that story.
or at least the story of like five of them, five or six. Usually just the big names.
And then there was the letter, which came out.
Oh god, yes, the letter.
The
Oh
letter.
man, when I found out about Juwario, that shit devastated me.
Hmm.
I mean, I never watched his content, but I was still sad as fuck when I learned that he killed himself.
Yep.
And now years later, I think I realize why he did it.
Mm.
I think he did. I think he just got complete, or the guilt just got to him. He couldn't bear the guilt of what he did. At least that's why I think he killed himself.
Yeah. But anyway, yes. So this is a Channel Awesome alumni. It's uh, uh Jay Longbone, uh, who is a YouTuber, um, that I follow,
Me too.
and she's really funny. I do, like her Batwoman React series is very very funny.
Hmm.
She put this in a way I think sums it up perfectly. It's like trying to enjoy a YouTuber's content after learning about their many improprieties.
Yeah, it's hard to separate them.
Yeah, that's why I
As much.
don't watch the Nostalgia Critic, and I watched Todd in the Shadows for the end of the year like top 10 list. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think even after Channel Awesome went under, I still watched Linkara for a little while until I found out about his anti-comic skate stuff.
Yep.
And even then, Linkara was already his videos just stopped interesting me anyway.
Yeah.
As, yeah, I mean, I'll always thank him for being the one who got me interested in superhero comics, but yeah, I guess I just outgrew him.
Yeah. Same here. I
And
mean, I
was
used to like love the stories he put together for his videos, but
yeah,
that was it.
I actually never really liked the stories. I think that always should have been separated from the comic book reviews. I'm fine with him having little fight scenes in his reviews, but they should actually relate to what he's actually doing. It's like with the Angry Video Game Nerd, how he would always fight characters from the video games that he's playing.
Mhm.
He plays a Bugs Bunny game, and so he has his friend Mike dressed up as Bugs, and he just beats the shit out of him the whole time. And then he literally shits on his face.
Anyway, with that pleasant imagery in mind, let's take a look at this video, which is I believe it's called, oh yes, The Unbearable Emptiness of Sonic the Hedgehog.
So Clayton, have you seen the Sonic movie?
No, I have not. I'm relying on you for the movie details. But the plot summary, I watched this video a little bit. I watched like the first 10 minutes, like the first maybe 4 or 5 minutes. The plot summary only takes about like the first 2. There's stuff I
Mm-hmm.
want to comment on, but I'm going to leave that mostly to you.
All right.
So, remember children who watch this, who watch our show, content warning, spooky imagery, and sad things.
Mm.
All right, look, I did this as a joke during the Kappa episode, but in my genuine opinion, people that put content warnings, not like fair use warnings or stuff like that, because not that the fair use tag or anything like that, or like a disclaimer saying like don't go contact this person because I expect better of you in my audience, blah blah blah. Stuff like this, spooky imagery and sad things. Like people who
Maybe.
put content warnings in front of their videos have no faith in their audience.
I mean, maybe it's ironic. Maybe it's trying to be. Maybe it's sarcastic.
Either way, like my point still stands. People who put content warnings, trigger warnings, any sort of warning in front of like content that is like might cause someone to react in a certain way or might offend someone, have no faith in those people to deal with their own emotions.
What about somebody like I Hate Everything? He does that in his videos.
Yeah, I hate everything has no faith in that his audience can
I
deal
mean,
with certain things.
I mean, to be fair, he's not wrong to do that because I mean, people do get upset by some of the things he says.
So what?
Hmm.
That's their problem. It's not your responsibility to deal with someone else's problem.
Eh,
Like for example, well, I in like mid-March had a had major issues with my car and its tires. Like I had to a tow truck was involved at one point.
hmm.
Right. That is my problem. Of course, Ryan helped with that problem, but that was his choice. He could have said, "Yeah, I'm not going to help you," or "You can do this on your own," kind of thing. Either way, this sort of thing, like, it makes me think you have no faith that your audience is mature enough to handle the concepts of which you're speaking. The one exception is for um things like sexual content, because like recently I've gotten into the SCP wiki
Okay.
and they have a bunch of stories and stuff on there, but unlike some sites where you can filter like what you want, like, oh, if I want violence and sex and things like that, I can set a filter for it and get stories that have those things and filter out the rest, or I can keep those things out of my sort of view if I chose to. But the SCP wiki doesn't work like that, so it's just a list of stories. It's just a list of like, oh, this is the next story, blah blah blah. And they don't have summaries or ratings or anything, so they put the tagline, "Hey, there's sex in here, just a heads up."
All right.
But this kind of thing, this is like, oh, you're uh, like mentions of rape in this video. It's like I have no faith in my audience can a a he can mentally deal with the idea, the mere mention of rape. Like, all right, now that I've ranted sufficiently for
About 3 minutes.
about I think we started at 9, probably about 5. Um,
Mhm.
let's actually start the video.
All right.
At the Olive Garden Italian restaurant, we speak a different language. Some would say speaking a different language can make all the difference in the world. The
my
Olive
people.
Garden Italian restaurant, where all the best of Italy is yours. Come back for the endless refills of salad and garlic breadsticks that make us special.
Yes, that is in the movie, by the way.
Wait, it actually is? Wait, what?
Well, sort of. At the very end of the movie, at the end of the movie, like Eggman ends up getting trapped on another planet, and the U.S. military, I guess, congratulates the heroes for defeating him and keeping quiet about him, and they reward them by giving them like an Olive Garden coupon, yeah, a gift card.
Okay, but why is the advertisement here? I don't get it. It's such an oddly placed thing because he hasn't given context.
Well, he probably will in a few seconds.
No, I've seen the plot summary. It's bare bones thin. He hasn't given context to this. Why is this here? But anyway,
And yes, to all you boomers listening to this, I hate Eggman instead of Robotnik. Suck on it.
You ever worry that the world is slowly crumbling into a dystopia, unrecognizable?
no,
Yeah,
I don't. You know why? Hey, because I'm fucking intelligent enough to see.
I mean we are kind of going, or things are kind of going to shit recently.
Yeah, but that's a purely ideological thing. I'm fucking about with the with the thing with the chat and window on screen. All right, there. I wish I could make this a full screen video, but I can't.
Wah wah wah.
Oh, there we go.
From
Haha! I have done it. I can't see chat
Huzzah.
now though, so hold on. Let me. Not that anyone's saying anything, but you know.
Constant technical difficulties. It's like being at work.
The current on. Oh, never mind. That's upsetting.
How did we let
The-
hate win?
The thumbnail. Okay, let's talk about these people on screen, shall we? These are police. These are people that have taken an oath to defend and protect the U.S. law. These are communists. They don't believe in U.S. law because they are communists.
I mean, how do you know that? I don't know the context behind this video.
I don't either, but do you really need to look at the black bloc and say, "Well, that isn't communism"? That's absolutely not communism in action.
Okay. I mean, you know that, so you know for certain that's Antifa. If that's what you're-
Given the anarcho-communist flag in the background, I can assume so.
Where?
You're like right here, like in the back towards like the center, like center frame, just to the left.
Okay, I see a little, looks like a red and black flag.
Exactly, that's the
Can't vote.
anarcho-communist flag.
Okay.
your youth, and that perhaps you have stared into the void, the middle distance between yourself and oblivion, just a little too long, and that having done this, brought something back with you? And then have you ever seen the Sonic the Hedgehog movie and had all of this confirmed?
No.
No, I saw the movie. No. Also, I find his voice very interesting. I could have, if I remember correctly, back when he was on Channel Awesome, he had a much more, I guess, intellectual sounding voice. I guess what Mahler would call the video essay voice.
Yeah.
I guess he must have dealt away with it and just used his real voice.
Now he sounds like he has something up his nose.
Hmm.
But regardless, he hasn't made an argument yet, so...
Sonic the Hedgehog opens in an animated world made to resemble the video game upon which it's based. A bright but weightless world full of nothing that distracts children from talking to their parents and makes millennials who grew up on said games mistake recognition for genuine happiness.
Wow.
Wow.
Fan service is. Fan service is. Hey, what did he say? What did he say it was? Go back.
But weightless world full of nothing that distracts children from talking to their parents and makes millennials who grew up on said games mistake recognition for genuine
Hey,
happiness.
fan service causes me happiness. Hey,
Yeah.
I get happy seeing little cameos.
Yeah, I agree. Why do you think Stan Lee cameos in every movie? It's fan service. People know Stan Lee. People know the creator of Spider-Man, who essentially created, who, let's be real, I can't remember if he created or saved Marvel Comics from,
Oh.
like, bankruptcy.
I don't know. I don't know the story behind that.
Neither do I. Someone will, though. But who knows? Regardless, this world clearly isn't empty. There's a little blue streak running around. Like, and further, this is just the Green Hill Zone from the first level of the game. There's like, I don't know how many zones there are in the first Sonic, but there's like 7 others in other Sonic games.
Hey, I think there's 6 or 7.
Like, people know. Excuse me. Like, there are other things in this world, we just don't see them. Okay, let me put it this way. Just because you don't see Coruscant in the sequel trilogy of Star Wars, I'm making a positive comparison to the sequel trilogy of Star Wars. Good lord, it must be 2020.
Oh man, and we almost went 3 weeks in a row without talking about Star Wars.
Does not mean that Coruscant no longer exists.
Well, I don't know. By The Last Jedi, that's debatable.
No, The Last Jedi killed. In the Force Awakens, it was other planets.
Yeah, I know, but by the time of The Last Jedi, the First Order had conquered the rest of the galaxy off
I
screen.
know, right? It's weird. They must have some sort of infinite resource generating machine. I think
Yeah.
most people call it the plot, but you know.
Yeah, it's really strange. But yeah, speaking of the sequel. Oh,
but enough
go on.
about TLJ. Let's
Okay, yeah, let's go back to Sonic.
move on.
Then a tribe of Knuckles ambush Sonic and try to grab him.
But if someone tries to touch you in a place or in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, that's no good.
Isn't that funny,
So-
guys? It's a meme. You know
Yeah,
that
it
meme?
is.
It's a meme. Laugh at the meme. I know Sonic memes. Ha ha ha. Okay.
So explain to me, who hasn't seen this movie and knows that there's got to be more to this than meets the eye, the hell just happened?
Those echidnas are trying to kidnap Sonic because they want his power. That owl lady is his guardian.
Okay,
Her name is Longclaw.
that's the best name ever. It's like, hey, what's your mom's name? Fucking Longclaw? She's also an owl?
Yeah,
Sonic's owl
I
mother.
just like how her design just completely clashes with Sonic's. Like you can probably tell that that's probably even how she looked before Sonic got redesigned.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, it's not like they could go back and redesign everything in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But since she's only on screen for what?
Maybe, but no more than 3 minutes, probably.
Yeah, I can let that go.
Yeah, it's always interesting when you in like the cartoons and the comics when Sonic interacts with original characters, like their designs just clash. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Sends him to Earth to protect him from the echidnas. Sonic grows up in Green Hills while avoiding all human contact because he's a blue space alien.
Yep.
He desperately wants to be friends with the people in town, but he was told to keep away because, again, he's a blue space alien.
Yep.
Sonic the Hedgehog is all alone and also a cowboy, so he needs to find friends.
No, he
United
dresses
States-
up like a cowboy in like one scene in the bar. He's not a cowboy in the movie.
Yeah,
Like
I would assume so.
Like he's trying to take scenes out of context in a vain attempt at trying to be funny.
Yeah. Like it looks like he just went into the bar to, I don't know, get food or something.
Yeah, they.
Why
actually,
does
yeah,
random sheriff dude approach him, by the way?
What's that?
Why does sheriff dude approach him?
Approach him.
Yeah, why does Tom approach him?
Oh, they're friends by that time.
Oh.
By that point in the movie, they're on a road trip.
So it's just a completely random scene lifted out of the middle of the movie.
Pretty much.
Fucking Christ. So he took the scene out of the context for a joke.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, good reviewers can make jokes about the scenes that are happening in the moment.
Okay. Hold on a sec. I need to get more rum.
All right, whatever. I'm continuing the video because I know he's about to say something dumb.
Well, hey, don't resume it without me, man. I want to hear this.
Well, nobody's talking in the chat. What am I supposed to do to fill like 3 minutes?
Okay, fine. I'll get my drink in a little bit then.
But hurry up. You're going to have to get your drink one way or another.
All right, fine.
Mas rapido. So, how about them Knicks? You know, for a second I thought he was still here. Anyway, so just a reminder for those 4 of you watching. Hey, that's probably our most view. That's the most people we've had in our audience so far. Oh, just went down to 3. Bye, person. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, there will be no Filthy Casuals or Academic Ale House next week. I will be out of town. Anyway, other than that, do like, comment, and subscribe because I do actually enjoy reading all your comments. I do enjoy what I do. I do like this, and I would like to make this a permanent thing. I mean, technically it is already a permanent thing, but a more financially viable permanent thing.
All right, I'm back.
So, just like, comment, and subscribe. And what do y'all think of Renegade Cut so far? He hasn't really said anything at all.
Yeah, I mean,
At
we're
best,
like
he summarized the movie in a very like bare bones manner, such that I actually don't want to see it. If this was the only summary I had ever heard of this movie, I would not want to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, speaking of drinks, what are you drinking tonight, Clayton?
Screwdriver.
Nice. I got rum coke.
Anyway, moving on.
Department of Defense takes a break from ruining the world and enforcing U.S. hegemony, especially in the Middle East, to
Shh, I have things for this.
All right.
Because no one in the Middle East has ever done anything wrong. It's not like 3 years ago, there was a terror group burning people in cages, beheading reporters, and just generally doing morally abhorrent things. It's not like in the 80s Iran went through a whole Islamic extremist revolution in their own government. That didn't happen. It was America. It's not like Saudi Arabia and OPEC have what is essentially a major interest in a major effect on the US economy because oh, well, because they have oil or anything. That doesn't happen. What insanity. It's America's fault.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they'll argue, that
Well,
everything they do to us is our
like,
fault.
anything that happened even before America existed is America's fault. China was an absolute peaceful nation of monks before America showed up. Then communists took over. It's not like the world is entirely staffed by idiots running things, charismatic leaders who take advantage of the idiots running things and instill bad or ill-formed ideologies. These that require endless bloodshed. That would be insane. It's easier it's intellectually just easier to blame America for everything, because that way my brain doesn't hurt when I have to comprehend that that morality is a grayscale.
So, in other words, you did not find his joke funny.
Mm.
Neither did I.
Send Dr. Robotnik to Green Hills to determine what's making all that sweet, sweet blue energy.
Okay, but why though?
Well, in the movie, Sonic is feeling extreme loneliness, and so he starts running around a baseball field really fast, and he gets that whenever his emotions start playing into his running, it causes him to, I guess, produce some kind of supersonic wave that causes a mass blackout.
Okay, but why send Fuckwit over here?
Yeah, why did they? I guess because he was a technological expertise. He builds robots that can scan the area. I mean, I haven't seen the movie since it was in theaters.
Oh well, good an explanation as any.
Sonic and Tom, the town sheriff, team up to stop Robotnik and to keep him safe, and they win. Tom and his wife offer to let Sonic stay with them to keep him safe. Of course, Sonic could have just checked.
Actually, they don't really team up to stop Eggman. They just, I mean, in the movie, when Tom first encounters Sonic and you have that infamous meow scene, or Tom, okay, well, Sonic has a bag full of rings, and the rings create little portals that allow him to transport to different worlds. And so, when Tom first encounters Sonic, Tom shoots Sonic with a tranquilizer. Sonic's rings fall from his hands. And then one of them opens up a portal that sucks all the other rings down. And right before that the portal opened, Sonic saw that Tom had San Francisco written on his shirt. So Sonic just kind of muttered San Francisco. And then that just caused the portal to open up there. So they're all of Sonic's rings are on top of a skyscraper in San Francisco. So the whole movie is them going on a road trip over there to go get them back. So then, since Sonic's had his cover blown, he's planning on going to a different world, a world full of mushrooms, and ultimately that's where Eggman ends up.
So it's a buddy cop movie, essentially.
Exactly, it's a buddy road trip movie. Ever seen that meme where it's guys in cars with cartoon characters next to them, and with the caption saying this has become a genre?
Yes.
That's what this movie is.
Hello, John Rice.
Welcome, John. Here's Johnny.
Anyway, we are... Hold on. Only 2 minutes in.
This will be good.
This is a 13-minute video. God
all
help
right.
us all.
Let's do this.
All right.
For houses on Zillow.
Apartments for rent, I found on Zillow. Apartments for rent, I found on Zillow.
You can deal with iffy buyers, or just sell your house to Zillow and get a competitive all-cash offer. Zillow offers.
Is that supposed to be funny?
Hey, look, Dumbsville, Clownfish TV, and Geeks and Gamers. Nice.
Hey!
Subscribe to all 3 of those channels.
Yeah, no kidding. I've actually never seen Dumbzill's content, but I have seen Clownfish TV, sorry, and I have seen Geeks and Gamers, so they're both cool.
Yeah, Dumbsville just talks about he's a Sonic channel.
Yeah, well,
Even though
anyway.
his avatar would have you think he does Star Wars, his avatar is just Lego Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Eh.
Yeah, he actually remember that thing I was posting on the Discord where some Sonic news site is trying to justify why they're talking about the riots and the protesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Dumbsville actually did a video that covers that.
Huh. Anyway. Regardless, again with the ad at the like random point, is this supposed to be funny? Because the ad is too long for the ad's too long for it to be funny. So the humor dies there. If he'd just gone with like the CinemaSins product placement ding, that would have been better.
Yeah, and I assume that's probably why he also had the Olive Garden joke at the beginning, because he's trying to a vain attempt at trying to make fun of the product placement.
I guess, I don't know. Someone has to pay for the movie. Why not Zillow? Fuck it.
Sonic the Hedgehog has become a banner for right-wing YouTubers who think self-describing as anti-SJW can be a replacement for a personality.
Fuck off. Clownfish TV, no, Mr. H reviews, Clownfish TV, they're not right-wingers. Even like the guys at Clownfish TV will say, I've said multiple times, they are left-leaning people. They're just not crazy ideologues.
Hi, my name's Clayton. I play video games. I also bake. Enjoy classic TV. And also random fan fiction and stories I find on the internet.
Yes. Also subscribe to Mr. H Reviews. He's also really good. He mostly does, though he just does primarily movie news.
These are things that are part of my identity. My libertarian leaning politics, along with my hatred of SJW culture and politics, is purely coincidental to that.
But Clayton, you're gay. How is that not part of your identity?
It is, but it is a part it is part of my identity. It's just not the only part of my identity.
Then how dare you side with the Chuds? How dare you?
The Chuds can fuck me. I know what I said.
Yeah. Yes, I know what you said too.
The movie is a pawn in a culture war that never really needed to happen. And
you guys made it happen.
You chose this battle.
Also, Altiori is also a decent channel.
You chose this battle. Y'all chose this hill to die on. The hill of pop culture. And what did you expect? That everybody would just bow to you?
Nope, we're the soldiers who are going to run the pike through you.
Further, you started this with gaming, by the way. This is the whole, in my mind, the whole thing started, this whole, like, culture war thing. The anti-SJW movement, the SJW and SJWs, who's calling out pop culture and stuff like that, started with gaming. You know why gaming said fuck off? Because gaming has been, for its entire existence, yelled at, ridiculed, and generally told, you are the scum of the earth.
Yes. It all goes back to Gamergate, ladies and gentlemen.
Always. They're upset they lost.
Also, I find it ironic that Renegade Cut is bringing this up. To me, at least, I find it ironic because, I mean, he's the guy who introduced me to SJWs. Him bitching about the Avengers in the first movie being all white is what ultimately pretty much caused me to slowly go down the anti-SJW rabbit hole. I mean, I remained a filthy normie for a while. It probably wasn't until like when John Tron was interviewed by Sargon, that's ultimately what made me realize like realize all my suspicions about SJWs were right.
Is used as a weapon against a completely unrelated movie.
Also subscribe to Young Ripper 59, another good channel.
Birds of Prey in the sweat. The movie is a pawn in a culture war that never really needed to happen
You
and
guys
is used
started
as a
this.
weapon against a completely unrelated movie, Birds of Prey.
Yes, correct. It is completely unrelated, but it is an example of politics taking front seat to story versus story being the primary motivator. I'm sure if I search deep enough, there is no doubt left-leaning ideology in Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm leaving my cursor in the middle of the screen because I know it'll bother someone.
So when you say left-leaning politics in Sonic, you mean the franchise as a whole, or just the movie?
The movie. I'm sure I could probably examine all the games and be like, yeah, this is pretty left-wing, this is pretty left-wing, this is pretty left-wing, blah, blah, blah.
I can see how it's left because it does portray like the people running the Pentagon as being just cartoonishly stupid. I mean, they are cartoonishly stupid.
Or evil, you know. Anyway.
They're not evil, they're just stupid.
Anyway. But yeah. This is yeah, this is not the hill I would have chosen to die on, because it's an example of a franchise telling its fans, hey, we appreciate you, thank you. Like, the whole Sonic franchise, the whole Sonic deal was the reason people like the movie and went and saw it is because they went out of their way to redesign the character to make it look like the original character.
Yeah, that's pretty much the reason why I went to see it myself.
Like,
I had no desire to see it until the redesign.
Like, that's the point. Like, these people didn't demonize these people. They didn't. Sony and their ilk and the people that running the movie didn't demonize and dogpile these people criticizing their film. They took their criticisms and said, maybe we should. And they redesigned the character, and they got paid for it.
Yeah, though unfortunately the studio behind it did end up getting shut down shortly afterwards.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yep.
Was it due to Corona?
No, this was before Corona. I think it might have had something to. I think it might have had something to do with. I think it just had something to do with the redesign. I don't know if it made him go. I forgot the story. I think one of the channels that these aforementioned channels have probably talked about it.
Probably.
I think Clownfish TV has at least.
But I remember. But like, yeah, it was an expensive endeavor. But Sonic did, I think, better at the box office than it would have if they just let it stay. Like, I think Sonic did as well or better than anyone expected it to at the box office. Because
yeah, I'm definitely surprised by it.
February is box office poison. January and February are months where movies don't really come out, or there are movies that aren't really good come out.
Except for 1917, that actually did come out around like January.
Yeah, but 1917 is a historical movie, so it's not. It appeals to a very niche audience.
More like, I think it's more pseudo history. I think it's based on this like. I think it's like.
But again, it's still a niche audience. You're not looking for mass appeal in 1917. You're looking for, okay, these are like history nerds are gonna know what this is. Because then they'll buy it and blah and blah. Anyway.
Yeah. So since due to the coronavirus, not very many movies have come out this year. So I would say that 1917 is the best movie of 2020.
I'll say yeah, that's 100% true.
Yes, if you ever want to watch somebody on the big screen, if you want to watch somebody get stabbed and just slowly bleed to death, that's your movie.
Good lord. Anyway, moving on.
In the sweaty gamer discourse that always smells like a basement.
Remember, kids, attacking your audience's character is absolutely not intellectual cowardice. It's these people that channels that we recommended you subscribe to are have absolutely no arguments in explaining why Sonic is a better movie overall than Birds of Prey. You know, and God forbid Renegade Cut engage with their arguments, because that would be fueling fascism or right-wing ideology or something. And it's absolutely not, because he's an intellectual featherweight when it comes to this sort of thing. Anything to add there, Caesar?
Nope.
Here's
Proceed.
why. A subsection of social media loves this movie because it is the apolitical gold standard that they claim they always want. Whereas Birds of Prey, a movie released around the same time and competed with Sonic at the box office, is political because it stars a woman.
Oh god, that is so
The
intellectually
barrier
dishonest.
between-
No, that is absolutely not true. It is political because it makes itself political. It is all about girl power and I don't need no man and white men are the devil and blah and blah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. To all future writers out there, portraying girl power is not a bad thing in of itself. The problem is that when you make it unbearably preachy while simultaneously demonizing men in the process, yeah, you've done fucked up.
Like,
It raises the question like what is the message you're trying to make? Are you trying to say women are equal to men or superior to men? Because when you make men look evil or stupid, it definitely seems to promote the latter instead of the former.
what is apolitical and political to these people is actually paper thin.
can you give an example?
Video games have always been political.
Can you give an example, Renegade Cut? You said my definition between apolitical and political is paper thin. Well, can you give an example of a definition of two differing definitions? For example, could you provide us an example of a YouTuber? Hell, Geeks and Gamers popped up on your little scroll through of Birds of Prey and a comparison with Sonic, a Birds of Prey thing. Why don't you give us an example of Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers saying one thing is political and one thing is apolitical, and then provide evidence for why the thing he says is apolitical is actually political, and why the thing he says is political is also political. This would prove that his definition of political and apolitical is actually paper thin. But again, I'll point out, this man has proven to me, at least, that he's an intellectual featherweight. He doesn't have any arguments. He's going to continue to attack the character of whoever disagrees with him. It'll be fun to watch, though. I actually don't know what game this is.
Neither do I.
Video games have a contingent of fans whose hobby is their identity. There's a reason why people who watch a lot of television don't call themselves TVers, but people who play a lot of video games call themselves gamers.
I don't know. I think some people probably there's probably a term out there, it's just probably not commonly used.
I mean, because TV is a passive medium. Sorry, I have the hiccups.
Oh boy.
And it actually hurts a lot. Excuse me. You have to participate in a video game. Like,
Oh
God
boy.
damn it. God damn it. This is going to be the whole video. This is going to be through the whole show, isn't it? God damn it. All right. You have to participate in a video game. You have to put effort and time into completing a video game, into being good at a video game. Just like any other sport, any other hobby. For example, someone who works with wood, even as a hobby, can call themselves, God damn it, an amateur carpenter. Or a carpenter, if they so choose. Because that is what they are. A gamer is someone who plays video games with relative frequency. A casual gamer plays video games only on the occasion, and it may be a specific, and maybe even dedicates themselves to a specific genre of video games. First-person shooters being the most likely.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Don't you laugh at me, John Rice.
Yes.
Anyway, as I was saying,
the more you acknowledge his ridicule, the more power he has over you.
Anyway, but there are hardcore gamers who who play like things like, oh, I don't know, Oxygen Not Included, or things like that with mechanical depth and things that they want. Dark Souls is a good example. Dark Souls is not for everyone. Now, personally,
well, it's for everybody except for game journalists.
Personally, I've never actually completed a Dark Souls game.
I haven't played a Dark Souls game. It's on my bucket list. Don't yell at me.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And I know, like, playing the game is not for me. It's not necessarily for me. I like the lore. I like the lore and story behind it. The interesting theories and the fact that everything is so open, you can basically make up your own story as to why things happen or why certain items are in certain places. That makes me happy. Because it makes the world feel more alive. Not every story has an ending, or even has a happy ending. Stop.
Hey,
regardless,
getting drunk is just part of the show.
This is not me drunk. This is hiccups. Because actually, I've probably been drinking too fast. Like, I'm already on my third and final Smirnoff, and I don't have any more alcohol in the house.
Oh, poor thing. I just restocked today.
Excuse me. Anyway, yeah, it's not like, calling myself a gamer is simply saying I have a hobby of playing. My hobby is gaming. If I were a carpenter, you would either assume I do woodworking for my living, or that I am or that I have a hobby of carpentry.
But Clayton, you don't understand. Your hobby is problematic. We need to push for more inclusivity to pander to people who won't even buy the products.
People who argue this can eat me.
Of gaming subculture is a common refutation of anything that politicizes their games or their habits. But
because we told you when we started this fight, God damn it, fuck off. We told you to fuck off. We don't want you. We don't care about you. We don't want you here. We don't care about you. And we don't care what your ideologies are. We don't care if you're left wing, right wing, fucking up wing, down wing, center wing, west wing. And you can be any sort of ideological person you want. Fuck, you could believe the flying spaghetti monster is a real thing and actually has influence on the universe. That's on you, man. And just long as you leave me alone and I can play my COD or Dragon Age or whatever in peace and not be preached at by people who think they're better than me.
Yeah, I think I found out what the gameplay footage is from. I think it's Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh.
Metal Gear's
the only games that
I've never played him in the year and don't plan to.
I hear it's good. I need to get around to playing that too, or
Hmm.
at least a few of them.
Their habits to them are games which have politics that do not reinforce the political status quo, and games that are their so-called apolitical gold standard
Hold on.
games to them are part of gaming subculture is a common refutation of anything that politicizes their games or their habits. But the only games that politicize their habits to them are games which have politics that do not reinforce the political status quo, and games
What?
I believe games that are political are games that are very clearly pushing a certain agenda. They want you to think a certain way. That's the argument I hear personally.
I guess. I can't tell. He's using politicized, and political. Like, he's using political and its synonyms too much. Honestly, like, this is a sentence. This is gobbledygook
You
as
mean
a sentence.
word salad.
Basically, yeah. There's
Using
an
fancy
argument
words.
here, but it's hidden behind so much bullshit that I couldn't tell you what it was. Arguably, that's the point. He wants to pretend he's being intellectual, but in fact, he only has the mild point to say, "Oh, gamers are only interested in politics and want their games to be largely apolitical, but don't complain when their games involve politics." Except when games generally involve politics, and the best example is Dragon Age or is the Dragon Age series. The world politics don't matter to a great extent. The politics of the world are politics of the world. I'm not being preached at about my real world politics. I'm being told this is the current state of the government in the world now.
Yeah. I guess I guess there is probably I think there is a right way and a wrong way to portray political matters into your contents.
If it builds the world, it is good. If it doesn't, it's pointless.
Yeah.
If it it doesn't necessarily have to contribute to the story. I point that out. It does not necessarily have to contribute to the story. But if they build the world, for example, in Dragon Age, the elves are separated from normal humans. The reason for this is because elves used to be slaves. So segregation is still a thing.
This is starting to sound like the backstory of my book series, but swap the races around.
Anyway.
Well, speaking of which, like speaking of the book series, like when it comes to how I try to portray real world politics, like I try to approach things like racism. Like I try to approach that kind of things with a lot of nuance. I don't try to say that there's an oppressor race and a victim race. It's more like I portray racism as this endless cycle, like this whole eye for an eye just going on infinitely.
Regardless, let's continue with the gobbledygook.
Are their so-called apolitical gold standard are games that do reinforce political status quo. They are political, but the status quo is culturally invisible, and since this subsection of hobbyists hold up intellectual incuriosity as a value, they are...
What? Hold on, we're going back.
Political, but the status quo is culturally invisible.
How? How is the status quo culturally invisible? You're going to have to explain that one.
What is the status quo exactly?
Bingo. A, what's the status quo? B, how is this so-called status quo culturally invisible? Well, invisible. And if, for example, I, as a minority, cannot be told, I, as a minority, because I am gay, am not part of the status quo, do I suddenly gain vision as to see the status quo?
So, I don't know. Would I count as a minority? I'm a straight white male, but I'm an atheist. So does that make me a minority?
I don't know.
Am I? Or I guess I'm lower on the oppression pyramid.
Who knows? But his point is weird. The status quo is culturally invisible, but he doesn't bother explaining what that means. I'm assuming he's just doing this to
And
sound
since
smart.
this subsection of hobbyists hold up intellectual incuriosity as a value, they
Okay, who are you to say that because I play certain video games, or because I play video games at all, or because I identify as a gamer, I am intellectually incurious?
He was from Channel Awesome. That's who he is. He has to carry that burden for the rest of his internet life.
See, yeah, that's the thing, though, Renegade. Who are you to tell me that I am intellectually incurious?
Well,
It would behoove you, I am sure, to engage with your opponent's arguments, as I do now.
Well, it's easier to engage your opponents when you're just attacking a strong man.
Exactly. Hey, once again, this man is an intellectual featherweight. He doesn't have anything of substance to say. God, fucking hiccups. He doesn't have anything of substance to say. All he has is pointless character attacks and holier than thou preaching. But we are only 3 minutes in. Good God.
10 to go. We can do this, Clayton.
This is a 13-minute video. Someone save me. Someone kill me. Someone kill me now.
Well, your roommates have just the tools to do that.
I'm aware, but I haven't pissed them off enough today. Anyway.
are not motivated or incentivized to acknowledge this. Games
Acknowledge what? The status quo, which you haven't defined? The cultural invisibility, how it's culturally invisible, which you haven't explained how that is? Or their intellectual incuriosity, which you can't, which is a straw man at best and completely false at worst.
that portray the United States military as an overall good for the world are apolitical to.
I mean, is it wrong though? I mean, is it wrong for the military to be portrayed as good? Not saying that they should be unconditionally good.
Are you talking about Call of Duty? Because as far as I'm concerned, Call of Duty takes place in its own... God damn it! In its own world.
I mean, I'm not too familiar with the Call of Duty series, but all it is just simply just warfare. That's all.
It's war. It's war.
It's not pushing any messages. It's just simply about soldiers fighting.
Exactly.
Gamers,
I mean, we can make the same argument for like other games like Halo, right?
Yeah.
Gamers, because this is a culturally invisible games that portray the United States military as an overall good for the world.
What game? Give an example. Tell me one. This is the thing. He keeps saying stuff like this. He keeps saying, "Oh, games that portray the United States military as an overall good for the world," and I'm like, "Are you talking about Call of Duty? Are you talking about some other game series? What game are you talking about? Give me an example. Give me something to latch on to see where your argument is coming from, because at this point it sounds like you're shouting into the void, just talking completely in general, painting in the broadest strokes you can, so you can simply say, oh yeah, that's what I was talking about, or oh no, that's not what I was talking about, I was talking about this. Or to sort of make yourself a bastion against against people who would tell you you're a fucking idiot. But here I sit telling you you're a fucking idiot because you won't engage with the argument you're making, much less engage with an opponent's argument. By the way, I can hope that he didn't steal this game footage, but, you know,
Yeah, it's the thing I don't really. It's the thing I don't really think about very much is like where the gameplay footage actually comes from.
yeah, where did your game footage come from, Renegade Cut?
Are apolitical to gamers, at least American gamers, because this is a culturally invisible, unquestioned truth, whereas a game that features a woman being strong and independent in a male-dominated world is too political. And
are there actually men bitching about Laura Croft?
Yeah, I have a question for you. How many people complain about Laura Croft? Really? Laura Croft. I assume you're presenting Laura Croft as an example of a video game woman, a strong woman in a male-dominated role that gamers complain about.
Yeah, I've never heard any complaints ever.
Mindset overlaps in discourse about popular media in general, including movies, and in the rare event of a male-dominated world is too political, and this mindset overlaps in discourse about popular media in general, including movies, and in the rare event of a video game movie, the intensity upon which it must be defended as apolitical must then double.
What? Okay, hold on. I think I've put together the puzzle pieces of what he's trying to say. So basically, he's arguing from, like, this is at best I can put together. He's arguing that gamers who are saying Sonic is better than Birds of Prey, not because of its story or anything like that, because that the director and friend and everyone else treated the director and studio treated Sonic, with respect, or had respect for the Sonic fandom and everything else, are apolitical. But because they are gamers, they don't actually know what apolitical means, or their definition of apolitical is so paper thin as to be irrelevant. But they'll still defend Sonic the Hedgehog as apolitical despite being fans of political motivation, of political medium. Best guess.
You all right over there?
No.
Hey man, this is the most fun I've had all week. Keep it coming.
Anyway,
Sonic the Hedgehog is a fairly conservative film.
Why? And how?
Well, if he means like conservative as in like your political leanings, nah, not really. I wouldn't even call it left leaning. It's just a movie. It's just a movie. It's not pushing any political messages at all. And if so, it's way too fucking subtle for the vast majority of people to pick up
For
on.
it to matter. See, that's the thing about subtlety. At some point, you get diminishing returns. You can be subtle with your her political messages, but there's comes a point when you're so subtle that it might not be need to that it might as well not be there. But I hope he's willing to give examples. I haven't seen this far into the video. No. Into the video.
The character with an arc is Tom, a police officer. He goes through the basic want and need arc of wanting to be a big city cop in San Francisco to realizing he needs to be a friendly country sheriff. Tom's sister-in-law does
not
Okay,
quite.
how
It's more along the lines of the cliche of what you wanted all along was right in front of you. It's more like that. He wanted to be a cop in San Francisco, but ultimately decided to stay home in a small town in like Montana.
okay.
It's I don't know, like I said, it's
That
more like
how is that in any way conservative? Even in the way he frames it, it's not.
Because San Francisco good, middle America bad. I don't know.
Like, even in the way he frames it, Tom sounds like a character that goes through an arc that says, I want this, but as the movie progresses, oh, I realize I need this. I want this.
Yeah.
I need this.
Yeah, it's a lot like Pixar's Cars, where Lightning McQueen wants to be sponsored by Dynaco, but by the movie's end, he would rather stay with Rusty's.
Yeah.
He learns to appreciate what he already had.
Exactly. Like, how is this conservative? I don't understand. You've couched the.
I guess because in his mind, conservatism is fundamentally against the concept of change. The status quo must always remain the same, no matter what.
I don't know. Because, see, he's couched Tom, presumably, as the pinnacle conservative character because he mentions him first, after saying Sonic the Hedgehog is a very conservative movie. The next if that's your thesis, the next paragraph should be an example of, okay, this is why Sonic the Hedgehog is a very conservative movie. What you have described to me is a character arc that I've seen before, yes, but doesn't overwhelmingly sound political in any way. But he's about to talk about the sister-in-law, so let's see what he has to say.
Does not like him for unexplained reasons, and since the only thing we know about Tom is that he's a cop, we can infer that she doesn't like him because she wisely believes that the police as an institution monopolize violence and
no, nothing in the movie ever proves that.
Be dismantled and replaced.
The
only thing we know about Tom is that realizing he needs to be a friendly country sheriff. Tom's sister-in-law does not like him for unexplained reasons, and since the only thing we know about Tom is that he's a cop, we can infer that she doesn't like him because she wisely believes that the police as an institution monopolize violence and should be dismantled and replaced.
Shit up.
Or that she just doesn't trust cops.
Nothing ever implies that. Yeah, it's almost like he's making that assumption just because she's black and he's a white cop.
Yeah, based on just what he says, she doesn't like him for reasons that are never explained. That's it. Whatever assumption, whatever comes after that, is complete assumption on the viewer's part.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just simply a comedy trope. When it's like the whole it's kind of like the whole the father doesn't like his daughter's new boyfriend. Just
the father doesn't like the daughter's boyfriend, and or
in this case, the sister.
Exactly.
The big sister protective of her younger sibling.
Yeah, exactly. But let's talk about police violence. The police monopolizing violence. Meanwhile, in current politics, there are black blocks of people running around hitting people with bike locks.
Oh boy.
You know, and killing innocent people. Well, ruining the lives of black business owners. You know, well, because that's absolutely 100% the police doing that. That's not random commies. These are or rampant thugs who believe that the police are inherently evil. Well, and no, I don't necessarily trust every cop I come across. But I don't trust any stranger I come across, much less an armed one given authority by the government. But do I think every cop in the world is going to come at me, is going to attack the black people because they're black? No. If that were the case, there would be no black cops. It's funny. During the San Antonio protests, they were doing live on Snapchat, and they started towing people's cars. And one of the cops involved was black. And some protester, shouted at him, "We are fighting for your rights." And I'm sitting
Wait.
here thinking, this man is a police officer. Maybe he became a police officer because he lost someone to gang violence, a rampant problem in the black community. By the way, you know, Renegade, since we're talking about problems black people have, or again, maybe you're right, Caesar. Maybe he just made that assumption because the sister-in-law is black. She's black, right? So that means she must not like Tom for his job, for his profession, because he assaults and belittles and is racist towards black people. It's not as if his girlfriend is fucking black. Oh wait, never mind. She's his wife. I forgot.
Well, what I get, I don't know. Maybe he's gonna later push the notion that this is that it's gonna have pro-colonialism undertones because it's a white man married to a black woman.
Who knows? This sort of trail leads endlessly in a loop. Everything is racist, everything is sexist, everything is homophobic, and you have to point it all out.
So the movie is very
Thanks, Anita.
pro-cop. Another
Does not seem so. A movie that is pro-cop would,
Yeah,
in my opinion, be the not Super Troopers, Police Academy. That is a movie that is pro-police. It is pro the idea that police are good people. They want to do what's right, and they are honorable and fight for justice. That is something that is at the end, because even at the end of the day, the main villain of the piece of the story, still sits back and says, "We're not going." He doesn't do anything to risk the Academy cadets' lives. He doesn't do it during the end of the movie. He doesn't do anything evil. He doesn't do anything like to risk their lives or anything like that. He does his job, which is to guide them to graduation, and keep them alive. In that scenario, that is his job. He does his job, and he may not like every one of his students. That's fine. He has been the villain of the piece. He's been the villain of the movie throughout the entire thing. But that doesn't mean he's going to throw their lives away uselessly.
All right. Well, let's proceed.
Anyway, this movie, from what I have seen, which has only been screenshots, the shots he's shown, does not seem overly pro cop. It seems like it is sheer coincidence that Tom is a cop.
Yeah, pretty much. It's
Like,
yeah.
honestly, Tom could have been anyone. Tom could have been the fucking bartender and said, "Hey, I want to be a bartender in San Francisco," and he could have run
Yeah.
into Sonic some other way.
Yeah, that would have made for an interesting movie.
Yeah,
Like makes a bunch of cocktails for Sonic to try out. Be
but
the perfect kids movie.
or he could have been an author trying to get a book published in San Francisco. Who knows? Tom could have been anyone. I'm guessing from the setup he probably is a cop because it makes his meeting of Sonic the Hedge of Sonic all that much easier.
Yeah. I guess so. I mean, he's one of the first people to notice. I think he's not the first townsperson, but he's like one of the first town. I think he's like the second person in the town to know about Sonic's presence because Sonic running was caught on his radar gun. The first person to discover Sonic was just an old man that everybody thought was crazy.
Hmm.
He made a drawing of Sonic, and it looks like the Sonic meme. Like it's the Sonic drawing.
But either way, this movie doesn't seem pro cop. It seems like to be sheer coincidence that Tom is a cop, if anything.
Yep, it's not really. It doesn't try to promote the police or anything like that. He's just a cop.
The value in the film is the rural, small town is shown to be full of real Americans, and the big city Dr. Robotnik constantly demeans them.
Nothing
for
ever
this,
implies
and
that
for
he's a big city guy.
Yeah. Judging by the screenshot, it just looks like he appears out of fucking nowhere.
I mean, also I think he does belittle the fact that Tom lives in a small town. He does belittle him for being a small town, but you know, Eggman's the bad guy. He's going to say asshole things because he's an asshole.
But remember, Caesar, when X-Men Apocalypse came out, the world shook as an advertisement projected the villain doing something villainous.
Oh God, don't remind me. That's how I first became aware of Rose McGowan's existence, was because of apparently the fucking billboard.
Anyway, but who cares? Eggman is the villain, but he's not. If you're right, assuming you're right, if it's not mentioned throughout the movie, like where the fuck this dude came from, he's not like, oh, I'm from New York, I am inherently superior to you. That's not conservative. Further, there are conservatives that live in large cities. There are conservatives who live in large metropolitan areas and have their whole lives. That it doesn't conservatism doesn't inherently value small town existences. It's like what? It's like you've put up a straw man of what conservatism is in your mind, and you're attacking it. But the thing is, you don't actually know what real conservatives think because you refuse to engage with them.
To country. Rural and country are conflated with conservative America, and Robotnik positions himself as the enemy of said conservative America.
No.
Okay.
He's no Eggman's he's just an asshole. He's not a nice guy.
Okay. No. Let's take this at what he says. Rural and country are part of conservatism. That is not true.
At least that's well.
That is the straw man you have come up. No definition of conservatism includes terms or ideas of rural country living. That is absolutely not true.
Well, I guess rural people on average would be conservatives.
Yes, generally speaking,
the
yes.
farther you go from the big cities, the more red the state becomes.
Generally speaking, yes. But if I were to point out, at its core, conservatism says progress is good. We need progress to stay healthy as a society. But understanding consequences of that progress is better for society as a whole. And but progress should not come at the cost of what we have now. For example, abandoning the family unit has proven over the decades to be a bad thing. Conservatives, in general, I'm painting broad strokes here, not because I don't fear criticism, but because this is something you can only paint broad strokes with. Conservatives, in general, believe that a family should be made up of a two-parent household. Generally speaking, a conservative ideal would be the two-parent household. That is it.
Sounds good to me.
The two-parent household can be made up of any sort of parental dynamic, but conservatism says, well, okay, but if a two-parent home has two parents of the same sex, does that affect how the child grows up? And should we be concerned about that?
Yeah,
Now this is not always a positive, because conservatism inherently is slow. It doesn't like to move quickly. It doesn't like to accept change very readily. And that is where most leftists absolutely are correct. Conservatives don't like change because quickly changing from one thing to another, or quickly adapting something into society that we don't necessarily understand the consequences of, can lead to large negative ramifications.
And plus, just they think that I think a lot of conservatives live by the notion that if it ain't broken, don't fix it. They don't see any reason to change anything, for better or for worse.
Exactly. Conservatism at the end of the day has its positives and has its negatives. It wants to sit back and see what the consequences of something are, but by the time the consequences come to reveal, there's no point. It's sort of like Juul. It's sort of like vaping and Juul. We don't have the decades-long studies we did for smoking that proved it was a negative for the health of the general populace. But come maybe two or three more decades, we may find out that vaping and Juul was just as, if not worse, for you than smoking. We just don't know now. But conservatism says, well, we should allow this in, but we should be studying it and seeing where we end up, rather than, oh, it's fine, do what you want. And notice, however, that the concept of rural and country did not come into play in our descriptions of what conservatives in general believe, or at least the general conception of a conservative.
I mean, rural and country is just generally where they're more likely to be found.
Exactly.
As to a big city.
Tom wants to leave a small town for San Francisco, the hippy-dippy city of choice when deriding urban and left-leaning values, but Tom learns in the end that his heart is in the small rural town in Montana, an idealized real America Hamlet, more fictional.
Hey man, I'd love to live in a small town. I lived in a small town out in the near the country. I mean,
Where
I
everybody knows everybody. Yeah,
yeah. I've
why
ever
not?
been. Yeah,
Like
ever
that's
been
not.
to.
Why
Oh,
is it a bad thing that Tom realizes he can be satisfied where he's at? Like I pose this question not because your argument is invalid, Renegade, but because it's a genuine question to to your argument. Why is it a bad thing that Tom chooses to not go to San Francisco? If he
San,
finds San Francisco to not be to his liking, which I'm guessing they end up there and have a huge climactic battle.
actually, the climactic battle is back in the small town. I think
Ironic.
I think the reason, if I remember correctly, the reason why he stays in a small town is because it's just because of the community. It's because of the people living there. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to abandon them.
Okay, so what's wrong with that? Why is that a bad thing? Why is it a conservative point that Tom
Because
stays in his community in a community he is very much a part of rather than leave and go to the big city? Like why is this a bad thing? Why is this conservative in any way actually? We like
I don't know. Montana's a red state and California's a blue state.
I guess that must be what it boils down to because you would have begun to ask yourself these questions otherwise. Like, why is it a bad thing Tom doesn't go to San Francisco? Well, he doesn't want to. Okay, why is it a bad thing that he doesn't want to? Because that's conservatism. No, it seems like a choice of the character,
It's a
not an
very
ideology.
it's a very common movie trope. It's learning to
Yeah,
accept. You want something bigger out of your life, but in the end,
Then
you realize you learn to appreciate what you already have in life and stick to it because you have a newfound appreciation for it.
exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, like I said, even fucking Cars has that message in it.
Granted, this guy would argue that Cars is absolutely 100% conservative. You know?
Actually, it would not surprise me in the slightest, since Lightning takes a liking to this small town in the middle of nowhere.
Because Tom stays in San because Tom stays in his small rural town, he is a conservative. Meanwhile, Eggman, the presumably big city man who has no affiliation to a big city or doesn't say where he's from, is absolutely the villain because he's left wing. What? You're
Well,
attributing these characteristics to characters that don't have them purely so you can make the argument that Sonic is worse than Birds of Prey. I'm guessing. Good God, we've still got more than half the video to go. Oh no!
we can do this. I'm here with you, man. I'm here for you, man.
Main Street at Disneyland. Robotnik is an egghead intellectual who the Department of Defense only reluctantly works with, and once he's out of the picture, the rough, tough American soldiers disavow his existence and show their support of Tom in his small town.
Okay,
Yep, that
question.
is true.
Does Robotnik go on a rampage through the small town, destroying several buildings and causing what is inevitably going to be thousands, if not millions of dollars worth of property damage?
I don't recall. Like originally, he does cause a lot of damage in San Francisco, though. So what happens is that they have they have the big chase scene, their big chase scene in San Francisco, and then Sonic starts throwing rings, start throwing rings around. They start going through different parts of the world. They go to Egypt and China and Paris,
Okay,
and then finally they return back to the small town, and that's where. And then after that, I think Sonic ends up getting, with the power through the power of friendship, Sonic gets powered up, and then they throw another warp ring, and Eggman gets sent to that mushroom planet.
okay. So Eggman causes a lot of damage in San Francisco. So basically, at the end of the movie, the Department of Defense guy appearing and saying, "Oh yeah, we disavow his actions," is political in nature.
I don't know.
That's
If
absolutely saying, "Yeah, we didn't know this would happen, and we're not responsible."
yeah, I mean,
That
if
that's
anything, that go on.
that's COA. That's called cover your ass.
I was gonna say, if anything, that's more left wing propaganda because once again, the people in this movie, the people who are in the Pentagon are cartoonishly stupid. I mean, if I were a conservative and I was making a movie, I would not portray the Pentagon as being stupid. I'd portray them as being unconditionally intelligent.
I'll ask about that. Anyway, what how is Eggman a big city intellectual? By all appearances, he seems to be some sort of quirky inventor.
Yeah, I mean, he's quirky. He's Jim Carrey.
Yeah. Like, by all appearances, he seems to be some sort of, like, crazy, quirky, kooky inventor of some kind. He could absolutely have a lab in fucking nowhere, Texas, or Nebraska, or something. Fucking South Dakota.
I think he has like a lab in a truck, actually.
But he, like, even so he may not even be from America. They might have just called him in as, like, saying, "Hey, this guy knows a lot. He's quirky. He's a he's a good inventor of things. He might be able to help us."
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much
Like,
why they got him in the first place.
You're again attributing qualities to the characters and the plot of the movie that don't necessarily exist and isn't necessarily supported by, the plot of the movie. I haven't seen the damn movie, but even I can tell. But even I can guess that the reason the Department of Defense goes to Tom and his wife and apologizes to them is because he's playing cover my own. I need to cover my own ass so I don't get fired.
Yeah, pretty much. And as a reward
Like,
all
he gives them an Olive Garden coupon for all, like,
for all they've done.
for all they did.
Yeah, like I said, if anything, it's more pro left wing because the military is stupid in this movie.
Maybe.
Sonic the Hedgehog is anything but apolitical.
You have provided almost zero evidence, and any evidence you have provided has been paper thin at best and utterly dismissible at worst. By the way,
Yeah.
crotch shot.
But since patriotism, small-town values, and glorification of both the police and military are the culturally invisible, goes without saying, ideology of a huge swath of the paying audience for the film...
What? So, let me get this straight. You're saying that the status quo is patriotism, police glorifying... Hold on, I need...
values and glorification of, and show their support of Tom and his small town. Sonic the Hedgehog is anything but apolitical, but since patriotism, small-town values, and glorification of both the police and military are the culturally...
police or the military.
Alright.
Tom, it does not glorify the police or the military.
It very clearly does not glorify the police or the military. We've already established that. We've already examined that claim. Patriotism, I don't... From what I've seen, it doesn't seem like this movie is very, oh, America, the greatest country ever kind of thing. That I don't get that vibe from it.
No, it really doesn't.
And what was the fourth thing? He said a fourth thing.
I don't know, go back.
Sonic the Hedgehog is anything but apolitical, but since patriotism, small-town values, and
small-town values.
I
guess it props those up, but only by tangent. but only by tangent
Yeah.
because Tom is a small town cop. That's it. Like, it only tangentially props up small town values because one of the characters goes through a change of wanting to be something but realizing he enjoys what he already has, kind of thing. Like, you could argue that. It wouldn't be a very strong argument, but you could argue it.
I don't know. I guess it's almost like he's saying this movie is. It's almost like he thinks the movie is conservative just because the movie actually plays it very safe. It's it's not a groundbreaking movie. There's a bunch of cliches in it. It plays it very safe, which I can't really blame them because video game movies have a really bad
Really
track
bad
record.
track record.
Yes, so I don't blame them for trying to play it a little safe.
Yeah.
Test the waters. If it does well, maybe go a little crazier with the sequel, which I believe is in the works.
Glorification of both the police and military are the culturally invisible, goes without saying ideology of a huge swath of the paying audience for the film. It's
I cannot speak for the huge swath of the paying audience of the film, but I don't glorify the police or the military. I appreciate what they do for us, for the general citizens, but I realize that they are made up of humans who can and do morally reprehensible things. Just like I point out when you, SJWs, are being morally reprehensible.
Okay. I'm currently looking at the Twitter to Jeff Fowler, the director of the movie. So far, the vast majority of what I see is just predominantly Sonic related. Though he retweeted something from Paramount, the company that made the movie.
Yeah.
And he did retweet like a Black Lives Matter rhetoric.
Whoop-de fucking do. It's piss. It's literally, to quote Arch Warhammer, this is that kind of thing is piss puddle thin.
I mean, the point I'm trying to make is that, I don't know, just take that into consideration when trying to judge whether this movie is trying to be pro-conservative or not.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because usually it's left-leaning people are the ones who push for Black Lives Matter over right-leaning people.
Anyway, moving on.
Most ardent supporters can and do ignore this. Sonic the Hedgehog thus becomes a cudgel to prove the inherent worth of so-called apolitical films, while obviously not being apolitical at all.
Fun trivia. That's a fun trivia. I don't know if it's that guy. Hold on a sec.
This guy or... Oops.
Actually, hold on a sec. No, go back, or no, to where you were before you paused it.
Dog thus becomes a cudgel to prove the...
I think that's Gary Chalk. He actually played Eggman in Sonic Underground.
Huh.
He was also the voice of Grounder from Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. And also he was Optimus Primal in Beast Wars, best Transformers show. Fight me.
A huge swath of the paying audience for the film, its most ardent supporters can and do ignore this.
Ignore what? The political messages that are that at best don't exist, and that the political messages, I quote unquote, political messages, as you've pointed out, that are paper thin at best and almost non-existent at worst. Like, again, we've gone through all your claims that it glorifies cops, that it pits a rural cop against a big city intellectual. Well, and shows the big city intellectual to be inferior. Except, by all accounts, Tom is a side character. this is Sonic's story, not Tom's.
Tom is the secondary protagonist.
Yeah, like
He's the Alphonse to Sonic's Edward.
exactly. So he gets character development, but once again, the story isn't pitting him against Eggman, it's pitting Sonic against Eggman, and Tom is along for the ride. Stop me if I'm wrong.
Can you repeat that?
It's pitting. It's not pitting Tom. It's not Tom versus Eggman. It's Tom and Sonic versus Eggman, or even just Sonic versus Eggman.
Yeah, pretty much. It's definitely Tom and Sonic, but mostly Sonic.
Exactly. It's not a clash of ideologies. It's a clash of man versus man, I guess. Man versus Blue Hedgehog.
Yeah. God, I'm so getting drunk right now. I'm so drunk right now.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Moving on.
So Leon,
Sonic the Hedgehog thus becomes
how's
a
it feel,
cudgel.
Leon, that a drunk guy is still smarter than you are?
Anyway, I still fail to see the reason for this title, the unbearable emptiness of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it unbearably empty. The movie itself is just decent. It's not as great as people say it is, but it's not bad either. It's just decent.
But you would think if he's going to call Sonic the Hedgehog unbearably empty, he would focus more on the movie instead of the political messaging that may or may not be there.
Sorry, dude, you're breaking up on me. You're breaking up on my head.
I hope I'm not breaking up on the YouTube audio then. It might be Discord.
Oh boy.
To prove the inherent worth of so-called apolitical films while obviously not being apolitical at all.
We've already disproven that. Moving on.
After all, Sonic the Hedgehog made nearly $300 million worldwide, whereas Birds of Prey, the so-called political film, only made nearly $200 million worldwide. From what I've heard, it is
pretty political. From what I've heard, it is rather political.
Yeah.
At least in the sense that the men in the movie are all either stupid or assholes.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing redeeming about the men in the movie. There's nothing or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so never mind. Keep going.
Hold on, let me see where we are. 6 minutes in.
We're
Good Lord. We're only halfway there.
We can always make this a two-parter and do the next do like the other half next time we have an episode.
How does EFAP do this? No wonder they're 10 fucking hours long.
Yeah.
It only had a mid-sized budget and will definitely earn a profit, but dang, what a turbo-sized bomb, right?
Okay.
Also, I find it interesting that he's defending a DCEU movie. Never mind.
This thing was not expected to bomb.
Birds of Prey?
Yeah, I guarantee you. Because people said Harley Quinn was like the only good thing about Suicide Squad.
I don't know.
I never saw Suicide Squad, so I don't know.
I saw the movie. There were other characters I liked besides her.
But I mean, Harley Quinn was the most notable thing about Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
So one would think that a movie starring her as an individual would be very lucrative for the box office. But even still, well, did you notice the titles of the videos you scrolled through earlier in this very video? It's not oh, Sonic is better than the Birds of Prey. It is Birds of Prey fans are attacking Sonic because X, because it's a better movie, or because it's doing better at the box office. Wasn't this the one where like the director came out and said if you don't go you're sexist or something?
I don't remember, to be honest.
Hmm.
In truth, movies that this subculture
Oh wait, pause. I want to see this.
Hold on. Recent
Recent
blockbusters starring women and/or diverse casts. Avengers Endgame, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Star Wars The Force Awakens, Star Wars The Last Jedi, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, Aquaman, Aladdin, Star Wars Rogue One, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, Jumanji Next Level, Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw, Fate of the Furious. Good God.
What's
All
the
right.
point he's trying to make? The alcohol is really kicking in on me.
All right, let's start with Avengers Endgame. Avengers Endgame is a giant crossover movie. Captain Marvel is awful and has maybe one diverse character. And let's be real.
Individuals are not diverse.
And let's be real.
Hmm.
Captain Marvel is boring.
I have not seen the movie, so I can't say for certain.
Neither have I. I've only seen Muller's unbridled meh. But even then, I can point out, like, I can get. But even then, looking at Brie Larson's comments, don't want to see it.
Yeah.
Black
Also,
Panther Black Panther is a
praise it on.
mediocre movie at best.
Yeah, that one was. I thought it was decent, but yeah, it's not groundbreaking at all.
And
it's like
whoop-de-doo, it has an all-black cast. Congratulations, you can point out the skin color of the people on screen.
But hey, Black Panther's sister calls the white guy a colonizer. Therefore, it's get the bonus points.
Yeah, exactly. And they're the whole black supremacy arc for the villain. The utterly pointless black supremacy arc for the villain, I point out.
Yeah, I just kind of wondered if people like unironically. I just feel bad for people who unironically think Killmonger is a hero. I mean, the guy fucking murdered his own girlfriend for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
Let's
talk about the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Not that horse hadn't been beaten to death, resurrected, beaten to death again, beaten to death over, resurrected somehow again, beaten to death again. Are we getting the point? Like, Star Wars has been beaten to death over and over. The sequel trilogy is awful.
Yeah.
All three movies, they're bad.
Yeah. Yep. Everybody listening, just don't bother the sequel trilogy. Just read the EU books. Read all the legend stuff.
Aquaman is trash, I think.
I saw it in theaters. I thought it was okay, but I've only seen it once, so I can't.
I've heard Aquaman was like god awful.
Yeah, I'll have to rewatch it.
Aladdin was a pointless cash grab by Disney.
Oh God.
Star Wars.
Thinking about Will Smith, the Will Smith genie face is.
Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, and the two Jumanji movies are A, remakes of the original, B, whoop-de-doo, they star women.
Yeah, women in diverse cast, because Kevin Hart and Dwayne The Rock Johnson are also in it.
Okay, who cares?
Renegade Cut cares.
Apparently.
For the longest time, I didn't even realize Dwayne The Rock Johnson was mixed race. I thought he was just a really tan white dude.
Anyway, let's see what his point is with this whole thing.
Derides as political, meaning starring women or with diverse casts, often.
No, you. Avengers Endgame, by and large, is loved by its audience. Aladdin, I think, went over gangbusters. Jumanji, I haven't seen the original, but I have seen Next Level. I thought it was really, really good.
Oh, when you say the original, you meant Welcome to the Jungle, not the actual original.
I haven't seen either. I haven't
You
seen
haven't
the
seen the-
original Jumanji with
Oh.
Robin Williams
Oh, dude,
or
watch it.
Welcome to the Jungle.
Oh, dude, watch it, man. It's a good movie.
I have seen all 3 Star Wars movies, and those are trash.
Well, luckily the original Jumanji is not trash.
I've seen all 4 Star Wars movies on this list. The only one that is barely passable is Rogue One, and it's only passable in my book because of the final scene, because of the final few scenes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like
yeah,
that's
exactly.
it. Everything else is just boring.
Yeah, the last third of the movie is fucking amazing, but the rest of it is just
It's meh.
boring.
I haven't seen Hobbs and Shaw, but the
Neither
Fast and the
have I.
Furious is just a name now.
Mhm.
Same with the Fate of the Furious.
Smash box office records. Not that this should be any indicator of the worth of the art, but try telling that to the get woke, go broke YouTubers who.
Okay.
I mean, they're
Did
not
they
wrong,
not
though.
get woke and go broke?
Yeah, I mean, trying to think of examples. I know, like like the comic sales for Marvel and DC have been going downhill ever since they embraced the SJW phase.
Exactly.
Never actually do any math or fact checking. There is no quality, only capital. In creating a
But are you not okay? Then by pointing out that Birds of Prey earned 200 million on the box office, made back its budget, whoop-de-fucking-do. Making back your budget in Hollywood is a bad sign. If you made back your budget or made less than your budget, you didn't do well. That's a sign of a bad movie. That's a failure. Anyway, if you're going to use the box office, then aren't you using the capital then aren't you not looking at the greater context and pointing out the capital too? Mr. I'm so smart, or nobody challenge me on my ideas.
culture war surrounding Sonic the Hedgehog, this subsection of gamers and bad faith ne'er-do-wells can
He said, having not engaged with a single argument presented by any of the YouTube channels which he scrolled through.
turn a mediocre children's movie into a chemical weapon. And by choosing a completely unrelated movie to label as its enemy, the battle feels real and activates a tribal defensive posture. Note, if you liked Sonic the Hedgehog but do not hold these toxic beliefs and or have no strong opinion about Birds of Prey, relax and breathe because this isn't about you.
Bitch,
I don't have
me.
I don't have strong opinions about Birds of Prey. I think it's woke trash, but I don't have a burning hatred for it. I mean, the DCEU has always. I already have a rather negative attitude towards the DCEU.
Mm-hmm. Same here.
I mean, I like Man of Steel, but I won't argue that it's a good movie. And there's enjoyable moments in Justice League, but I'm not going to defend that movie. But I'm not going to claim that the movie's good or not.
Anyway.
The Hedgehog can certainly be enjoyed without any interest in trashing Birds of Prey, and will predominantly be put in front of the eyeballs of children who have no love for or even knowledge of this toxic discourse. But due to this invented rivalry, it's hard for people...
Invented rivalry? Except that Birds of Prey fans attacked it on Twitter!
Yeah. I don't know if you ever seen this meme or not, but yeah, I guess since like Sonic and Birds of Prey were released at the same time, just as like the new Animal Crossing and the new Doom game were also released near the same time. There was this meme where like someone just made they made a whole Virgin Chad meme using the whole Sonic Birds of Prey thing as the Virgin and Animal Crossing and Doom as the Chad. I like that. I thought that was funny.
people to casually announce that they enjoyed Sonic the Hedgehog on social media without being accidentally and unwillingly drafted into this fabricated conflict. Everything is bad and the hurting never stops.
I mean,
Sonic
if
the Hedgehog.
anything, it's the
Okay,
SJW.
look,
to say
I
anything
don't
about.
approve of Sarah Palin being on The Masked Singer either. It's disturbing. But there is no but. It's just disturbing. Your entire argument is fabricated on the idea that people disagreeing, that people not liking Birds of Prey is simply down to the race and gender of the people, of the characters involved, and not the story in any way. Because nothing's wrong can be wrong with a story involving women.
Hedgehog follows the formula of the Masters of the Universe movie and the Beastmaster sequel by taking all the fantastical action of the premise of the intellectual property and shoehorning it into our world.
Except Robotnik isn't from another world. And Sonic doesn't go through any sort of culture shock, which is such a staple in movies like that.
Yeah, well, in the movie, Sonic has actually spent a large chunk of his life in the human world.
I assume after he sends him, after Longclaw sends him to Earth, or there is a time period where there's culture shock.
Oh yeah, he got sent into the human world as a little kid.
Yeah, but I assume but I assume there's a time skip of maybe 10, 15 years.
Exactly, 10 years.
So the culture shock is irrelevant. So the culture shock doesn't occur. Robotnik or Eggman, whatever. Fuck it, whatever. Whatever his name is in this movie, is it Eggman or Robotnik?
His real name is Robotnik, but Sonic calls him Eggman.
Okay. Whatever. Eggman is already in this world, which means the world is full of quirky people like him anyway. And let's be real, had the US government not gotten involved, he probably would have taken over the world at some point.
Possibly. In the movie, he doesn't really seem to have any world domination plans, but that might change with the sequel.
Who knows? But dudes like this are weird, and they're he's quirky and weird, and has all these weaponized inventions, and it makes sense that he's already here. It's not like some sort of magical bullshit pulled Sonic and Eggman into the world. Eggman was already here. Sonic has been here for 10 years.
Yeah, it almost sounds like you just described the premise of Sonic X. Where Sonic and Eggman are both Sonic, Eggman, and all his Sonic friends get teleported into the human world.
Yeah, exactly. There's no culture shock, which is inevitably. So you can't call these straight ripoffs of these movies. They may be, I don't know, formulaic. Formulaic is probably a good way to describe the Sonic movie. But a ripoff of Masters of the Universe, an obscure He-Man 80s movie that I don't think anyone in the modern day recognizes. Yeah, you're going to have to try a little bit harder than that.
All right, let's keep going.
The real world.
Did you pause it?
The real world. The real world. This gives the movie a lot of fish out of water jokes. Sonic Encino-mans his way through the movie, understanding the world only through non-interactions he has from a distance and from popular culture.
I mean,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it is true that Sonic doesn't interact with anybody. He's that's one of something that Longclaw told him was that people are going to if when people discover him and what he can do, they'll try to exploit his power.
Yeah, makes sense.
And that does end up happening because Eggman discovers one of Sonic's quills and uses it to power up his hover jet thing, which allows him to keep up with Sonic's super speed.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But
So
the fish out of water jokes make sense because Sonic has been here. We're not getting culture shock. Fish out of water jokes exist in multiple scenarios. For example, in a movie you pointed out earlier, there are fish out of water jokes in Jumanji. Because they don't understand the characters they're playing. It's almost as if fish out of water jokes right themselves when the characters are put into situations that they normally wouldn't be in.
Sonic makes a variety of base pop culture references throughout the movie in substitute for jokes.
Okay, so what? Does Birds of Prey not do this? Because from what I've heard of Birds of Prey, it absolutely does this, only it does it from the left wing. It does it from a girl power perspective or a feminist perspective. Therefore, it is good. I can only assume that's where you're going.
Pop quiz, hotshot. You just picked a fight with a poorly disguised hedgehog who's seen way too many action movies. What do you do?
Great.
I don't think it's
no.
cringe,
That's
it's
not a joke. That's not a reference either. That's not a joke or the reference. That's just straight facts.
Honestly, I don't think the joke is cringe. It's just I'd probably
But even
laugh at it
still,
if I was
like
a kid.
that's not a joke or a reference or anything. He's like, "Bitch, I'm a hedgehog. I'm a cowboy. I'm a hedgehog dressed as a cowboy who's seen way too many action movies. What do you do?" Like, yes, it's meant to be humorous, but those are just the facts of the matter. Those are the facts of the situation, and it is utterly ridiculous, and thus it is humorous.
Cringe.
Fuck off.
The reference jokes were dated by the time the movie was released, by the way. It begins with a freeze frame record scratch. Yeah, that's me. Bet you're wondering how I got into this.
Okay. So what? The movie is cliche. Once again, you're failing to point out in any meaningful way that this movie is A, unbearably empty, B, conservative, C, has any relevance to your argument regarding your presumed defense of Birds of Prey, and if this is all the defense you can muster, good luck, Birds of Prey. But yeah, like, what are you doing? Stop. You had your chance to summarize the movie and review it and examine the humor and such. That was 5 minutes. That was 7 minutes ago. Yes, I've kept track. That was 7 minutes ago. When you summarized the plot of the movie, you could have gone into this then instead of now, when all your arguments have been laid on the table.
Kind of thing, and proceeds with antiquated cracks about hipsters, which I think were a thing and an easy target for think piece articles 9 years ago.
I don't know.
I don't know what the fuck he's saying. It's like he wrote the script for this in 2 parts.
Yeah, I don't
It's
even
like he
remember
wrote
the hipster
down
joke.
the review of the movie, saw that Birds of Prey was getting bad press, and related it to in relation to this movie, and decided to just fuse the 2 scripts without really thinking about whether the content of the 2 mattered, whether the content of the 2 like came together in any meaningful way. Like, right now he's talking about the movie and problems with the movie, which sure, I haven't seen the movie, but I can acknowledge, yeah, there's probably problems with the movie. But your whole argument is about how this isn't related to Birds of Prey? You better be circling back here because you've gone off the rails. Like, the only reason, if I was to mount a defense for Birds of Prey via examining Sonic, I would use examples from Sonic, but keep on track, saying like Birds of Prey is this blah 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 blah, which is good because blah 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 blah, and Sonic is bad because example blah 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 blah. But we're here with him going like, oh, Sonic is cringy humor. It has cringy humor, dated references. It's not very funny. The humor, it's not very funny. It's cliche. You know, I'm sitting here like, what relevance does that have to Birds of Prey?
Too old to be a timely joke, not old enough to be a retro joke. It's like the opposite of the Goldilocks zone. Again, that's not all, because the movie also references the video game several times, like Dr. Robotnik having a controller on his hand. Fan service is not respect for the audience.
Yes, it is.
A controller in his hands, that's not in the games at all. Is that the point he's trying to make?
I don't know. But even if he... But Robotnik doesn't have a controller in his hand in the games, but B, fan service is respect for the audience.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
unless it's like fan service can be disrespectful, can be just blind like, oh hey, you love this. Oh hey, we know about this. Here's your source material thing. But fan service is, at its core, respect for the audience because it is acknowledging what made the audience come to the fandom in the first place. Now, if this had stayed with the original design and a completely different plot, and this was just a random scene, it would be fan service for the sake of fan service. Instead of this movie, which redesigned a character at great expense, most likely to both the studio and the film, to make fans happy because they respected their audience and said, all right, well, and they brought in and I think Jim Carrey got this part because people wanted him to play Robotnik, right?
I don't know. I thought it was really weird casting, personally. I would have gone with somebody who was fat.
Anyway, but fan service does not necessarily equal disrespect for the audience.
It's flattery.
No. Fan service at its core is thanking the audience for enjoying the product. Which you could argue is flattery, in the same way that your waiter tipping your waiter saying thank you, in the same way as your waiter saying thank you for coming today is flattery, is to get you to tip them. You know, that sort of empty flattery.
We need to stop being so easily impressed that a movie reminded you something exists.
No, this movie did not remind us Sonic exists. We have plenty of Sonic media for that. This movie went out of its way to please a fan base.
It kind of sounds like almost sounds like he's trying to copy what Red Letter Media said in their Rogue One review. Like one of the guys where they make fun of the fan service in Rogue One. Like one of the guys goes, "I know what that thing is." Another guy's just chanting ATST ATSTs.
Anyway, but no, the reason this movie did so well is not because it's great plot-wise. It doesn't look great either. It's because the studio went out of their way. Not, not oh, we fucked up and hey, we'll make a better turn next time. We apologize to the fan base. No, they literally went out of their way. They didn't have to do this. They absolutely did not. The movie was done by the time the trailer came out. Oh, everything, the assets, everything was done. They could have sent the movie out as is. And it probably still would have made
I mean, I think
decent money.
I think when the teaser trailer got released, I think actually just it wasn't fully finished. It was just a large percentage of it was. Because I mean, if you look at some of the deleted scenes, even the CG on Sonic's the CG on Sonic's original design wasn't completely finished.
But either
And
way,
if you look that up on YouTube, the deleted scenes from the movie, like child Sonic before the redesign is like nightmare fuel.
Anyway, but this is still a studio going out of its way to make a fan base happy because they know that fan base will come and see the movie.
I don't know. I guess Leon Thomas is under the mindset that fandoms are toxic and to try to please critical fans is to please toxic children.
I suppose, I guess. Remember, we are part of the fandom menace.
Defenders of the non-humor and the rote story will undoubtedly say that this is a kid's movie. But that falls apart when better movies designed for younger audiences are in theaters right now, like Disney Pixar's latest entry, Onward. The bar for a movie
can't say anything about Onward.
Neither can I.
Haven't seen it.
Good is not...
Yeah, there are children's movies that are a lot smarter than Sonic. I can give him that much.
Yeah, like, that's not our argument. We are not arguing that Sonic is a great movie. We're arguing that you are wrong and you should reconsider your examination of this movie.
Not somehow lowered due to the average height of the target audience. Last year saw the release of Klaus, Missing Link, the Lego Movie 2, not to mention live-action fare like The Kid Who Would Be King.
Yeah.
I never saw The Kid Who Would Be King.
Me neither.
A movie being aimed at younger audiences is not somehow immune to criticism. If anything, movies aimed at younger audiences have an even greater responsibility to not be garbage.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that.
I agree. He's not saying anything I disagree with.
Yeah, that part is agreeable. Children's movies should try to be...
Finally, we're here. 10 minutes. We've only got 3 minutes left to go. Thank God.
Good job, Leon. You came up with something. You finally said something that's agreeable.
The same reason that every other product for children requires greater scrutiny. Scott Tafoya from Consequence of Sound put it best. I didn't laugh, but maybe I'm not the target audience for the thing. Who the target audience is, I couldn't tell you with a gun to my head.
Children.
The school group I was told would be watching this flop sweat-soaked trifle is mostly 12-year-olds from the looks of them. They laugh as a group 3 times.
I mean, they're 12-year-olds.
I counted. One of them laughed at one sight gag by himself. That's it. They quietly talked amongst themselves the rest of the time.
They're 12-year-olds. That's, I mean, speaking from my own personal experience, around that time is where I started entering my edgy phase. Or I start to kind of look down on children's things and start seeing adult related material as superior inherently.
What a school is doing taking kids to see a movie based on a video game when they all own cell phones, couldn't tell you. But I'm guessing they enjoyed not being in class even though they clearly didn't enjoy the movie.
How does this guy know that? Did he interview them? Did he talk to them? I mean, it doesn't matter if they laughed at every gag on the scene. Not everything is going to land. Let's be real here. I mean, but did this guy go and talk to every single child after that movie and get a general sense that, no, they didn't like the movie?
I don't know. I mean, when I saw the movie, there were definitely a lot of children there, and the friend I saw it with, and maybe a couple behind us were the were the only adults in there that weren't accompanied by a kid. I couldn't say for certain what the kids' reactions were since I was trying my damnedest to actually pay attention to the movie.
Yeah,
I don't,
like
and plus, I mean, do 12-year-olds really represent all the children that saw the movie?
yeah, and further, are you like, did you interview every child? Hold, like, oh, it, they didn't laugh at all the jokes. Clearly, they didn't enjoy the movie.
Once again, they're like
But
12-year-olds. They're in junior high.
clearly, they didn't enjoy the movie. It's like, did you talk to them? Did you ask them if they enjoyed the movie? Really? Did you talk to them? Did you ask if they enjoyed the movie? Are you just assuming because you're an adult and you know better? Or you can tell. You could read their body language in a dark theater.
They all cheered like hell during the post-credit scene when Sonic's sidekick Tails showed up. I couldn't believe it. They snored their way through the first movie and
Again,
Yeah.
question, how do you know this?
Yeah, I mean, unless the guy was actually like staring at the kid, or just constantly looking back at the kids the whole time.
Yeah, or looking at them.
Yeah, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
then cheered like zealots when they were threatened with another one.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. Threatened.
It may happen too, even if the box office isn't rousing. You're still going to die.
What the
Yes.
fuck? What the fuck is this? What is this comment? It is so irrelevant to everything that has happened in this video. Oh, I'm so lost at this point. Someone help me. There needs to be a map. I demand this. John Rice, someone in my audience, make a fucking roadmap for Renegade Cut videos. Because this is insane. I've gone from, oh, it's about politics. It's totally about
God.
the politics he's reading into and enforcing upon this movie. But then it's about, oh, it's Sonic versus Birds of Prey, which is a largely irrelevant argument. And he contributes nothing because he doesn't bring anyone's arguments into the fore. Now he's just talking about how nobody really enjoyed the movie. And you're like, what is your point? Someone save me. I've gone insane.
Don't remember, like, just got like about 2.5 minutes left.
Oh my god, there's still 2.5 minutes to go.
We can do this. I'm here with you.
The movie attempts to inject some heart into the film, such as in this touching moment when Sonic nearly dies, and Tom rushes to save him, and parks his truck in such a way to make sure the Toyota Tacoma brand is facing directly toward the camera like a Coca-Cola bottle on American Idol.
A lot of movies have really a lot of movies have
product placement. Get over it.
Yeah, it's. I agree that it sucks, but it is what it is. If you see a Spider-Man movie, there is going to be the Sony logo slapped everywhere. There's not much you can do about it. Try to judge the movie on its own.
Sonic the Hedgehog movie that makes me feel a little bit sad when I watch it. And since I decided to make a video about it, that means I've watched it multiple times now.
I've watched it only once.
The crass, unceasing product placement reminds me too much of the economic system and culture that prizes profit over humanity.
Oh God, spare me.
Yes,
I saw the movie.
capitalism prizes profit over humanity. Except that everyone in capitalism has the opportunity to do whatever they want. Economically speaking, not literally. But look, if I wanted to go start a business right now, I could do that. No other system on the planet or ever would allow me to do that. If we were in feudal Europe under a monarchy, I would not be able to do that because I'd most likely be a serf. Actually, let's be real. I've gone into the church. If we were
Oh man. Right.
under communism, I wouldn't be able to do that because because my labor would belong to the state. If we were in Imperial China, I wouldn't be able to do that because my life would revolve around serving the emperor and however best to do that. However best I would do that. In feudal Japan, I'd be a farmer or something akin to it. In Mesoamerica, I'd most likely be a slave, or maybe, if I was lucky and born into the dominant tribe of the cult of the day, maybe a merchant. But at no point, but that would be the best I could do. And even then, I'd be a merchant selling goods I had made myself. And then I'd have to go home and make more goods. Which would be but I'd only make enough money to sustain myself for like the month or so. I'd be subsistence merchanting. So when we point out, capitalism, meanwhile, says, hey, you want to go start a business? Go for it. Turn a profit of your own accord. If you have a great idea, if you have an idea that you think is great, go for it. There is something inherently human about capitalism. It allows for human greed, yes, but it also allows for human individuality to shine through at its highest.
And that was responsible for the demise of the VFX house that made the titular character. The movie reminds me of diminishing union power.
Unions have served their purpose. They are utterly worthless and political machines now.
The movie reminds me of the ever-growing disparity between the rich and everyone else. Not to mention,
So the movie just reminds you of shit that's not in the movie.
Yeah. The movie reminds me of this, therefore the movie is bad. Except the movie has no commentary on that, and whatever reminders you took from it is absolutely on you, friendo.
Literally everything else that's happening right now, including but not limited to a global pandemic whose eventual cure will almost certainly not be provided for free for poor people.
Wah! Yeah, my cure... Wah! The global pandemic is over. It's just good... And if you really want to blame someone for that global pandemic, you might want to point at that red China, that red hammer and sickle bearing flag with 5 stars on it. The Chinese one. It's like directly their fault. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It is China's fault that the coronavirus exists and spread as far as it did.
How dare you say that?
At least not in my country.
Don't you know that acknowledging the virus is Chinese is racist?
But not limited to a global pandemic whose eventual cure will almost certainly not be provided for free for poor people. At least not in my country.
Oh God, stop making up shit. Stop making up shit, you stupid piece of shit.
Perhaps. Free treatment? Highly unlikely. And if your response to all of this is, hey, it's just a movie, then please recognize that your complaint about the complaint can also be hand-waved with the same meaningless, empty phrase. Even if you think
you have read so much into this movie that isn't there, that yes, I can dismiss this entire video with, dude, it's literally just a movie. Whatever you've pulled from it is entirely on you.
Yeah, okay, Leon, were you stupid before you signed on to Channel Awesome, or just being on Channel Awesome just make you stupid?
Nah.
If you watch this video, let us know.
He'll never watch this video. It's too long. He'll be like everybody else who sees Mahler's criticisms. Remember, Long man is bad.
Yeah, just show us on a doll where Doug Walker and Mike Bashad and Rob Walker touched you.
Sonic the Hedgehog exists in a vacuum, which it most certainly does not. Its constant name-checking of corporate brands snaps us back
Oh
to
no,
reality.
movies have product
It can't
placements.
Oh no, movie. Yeah, exactly. Movies have product placement.
be escapism if we can't escape.
We have no words for
Well,
Kant.
hey, we
That
did
was
it. We
fucking
finished
awful.
it.
There are patrons. He has patrons.
Well,
People give this man money to say nothing.
Stupid people attract other stupid people. That's what I've
Thank
learned.
God. Thank God
Well,
it's over.
We did it.
I'm putting the logo on. Fuck. All right.
Wasn't that fun?
No.
I
Not.
I enjoyed it, man.
God damn it. Fucking Christ. Alright. I'm going to give my thoughts on this video. It is utterly pointless. It is, without a doubt, the most useless video. Like, I didn't actually believe Mahler when he said his... like, I've watched Mahler's criticism of H-Bomber Guy multiple times. I didn't actually believe him when he said, like, oh, these people make video essays that don't really say anything. Now I've witnessed it. Fuck me. Like, we sat through that entire thing, and he said nothing. There was nothing of substance, no examples given of arguments presented against this movie. Nothing was there is no value in this video at all. I find no value in it intellectually because it's so shallow, or it's either so too shallow or too presumptive to really mean anything, or it's his own interpretation of events that happen in the film. Like, he doesn't argue that the film is unbearably empty, which he could do. He doesn't argue that Sonic and Birds of Prey have nothing to do with one another, which he could also do, and that the whole drama surrounding the two is cooked up by the Twitter or right-wing propagandists. He could do that, but he doesn't. It's like I said, I think there were two scripts for this video. I think he had a video about Birds of Prey and why it was a really good movie, and he had a video of Sonic being a really mediocre or bad movie, and he fused the two together when he found out about the drama between the two. And this was the result. I can't say anything more. I genuinely believe, though, that Renegade Cut, man, you're an intellectual featherweight when it comes to this kind of shit. Like, you don't know anything. You don't say anything. You are left, and therefore anything right, mildly right of left, is objectionable. It's like that guy, Sargon had a debate against someone on his channel recently, and he basically argued, like, oh, child molestation is wrong. We should protect children. And the other guy said, yes, I agree. And Sargon said, well, then you agree with the conservatives. And his reflexive, not a I think about it and say no. It was a reflexive, instantaneous no. I don't agree with the conservatives because the conservatives are bad and wrong. that is the mentality Renegade Cut has.
So basically, just the tribalism that if you're conservative, you must automatically be wrong.
Yes. All right, I think we're done.
All right.
Unless you've
Yep.
got something to say.
Nope, that's pretty much it.
All right, we've been here for 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
Thank you all so much for joining us. There will be no episode of Filthy Casuals or Academic Alehouse next week. I will be out of town. Week after, absolutely, there will 100% be two. Hopefully, things will have calmed down. And in Academic Alehouse, I'll go through and do like a whole retrospective on the nationwide riots and shit.
Yeah. Also, be sure to remember to like this video, subscribe, and join our Discord.
Indeed, yes.
I'm Caesar, and the other guy is Clayton.
We have been Filthy Casuals. Remember, everyone, y'all stay casual.